starting off with your Dallas Cowboys, Aaron. And honestly, I wanted to keep things simple here. The Dallas Cowboys have been rolling through camp. They've had a few bad injuries coming at the wide receiver position here and there. I've been hearing a lot of talk about how the veterans are stepping up. CeeDee Lamb has been looking good. Dak's been looking good. But I'm keeping this real simple here for you. There's no deep question. There's no special analysis that I'm looking for. I want to know from you, from a fan standpoint, because that's who's watching these videos. You're a Cowboys fan. The people that are watching this clip are Cowboys fans. Why don't you tell them what you have been most impressed by at Cowboys camp?
I've been impressed by CeeDee Lamb. I'm not a big guy on the young star that's going to come out and take over. Amari Cooper is gone. But I have really been impressed by CeeDee Lamb, especially in a wide receivers group that is extremely young now. It's not the veteran of Amari Cooper. It's now CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup as kind of these veteran leaders. James Washington, who had been in the league a long time, now is injured. So he's out of the picture. So you have Jalen Tolbert, Michael Gallup, who's coming off of an injury, and CeeDee Lamb. And CeeDee Lamb has to kind of spearhead that wide receiver group as we move forward. And I think the connection with him and Dak Prescott there's a trending video out there today showing CeeDee Lamb just burning Trayvon Diggs for a touchdown, and then all the Trayvon Diggs haters came out. But let's be honest, CeeDee Lamb was one of the most explosive receivers coming out of college. He fell to Dallas in their lap. They didn't think they would be able to get him. They decided to take him and said, you know what, let's add a weapon for Dak Prescott. It allowed them to move on from an Amari Cooper. And now he's looking to take that next step. So I think this is the year that people thought he would have last year. I think that year is this year. I think the breakout time is coming. I think that connection with Dak Prescott is building. But the Dallas Cowboys have kind of been under the radar. And this is what I really want to talk about, is how much under the radar the Cowboys are, which they shouldn't be talked about. They should not be. They don't deserve to be talked about as, oh, they're a Super Bowl contender, because they're not. Because we talk about them year after year after year. But I don't think there's been as much attention on them this year, which I think bodes well for them. I think they can go into the season, hopefully, as we get closer, things start to ramp up. It starts to change, but and allows them to maybe get out of the gate with some strong wins, get a good record before that pressure starts to build again on what the Dallas Cowboys are, because I do think they'll be able to win games. So between a CeeDee Lamb and, shut up, all you haters, Ezekiel Elliott, who looks lighter, quicker, faster, and number one, healthy, who's not going to play in the preseason, a healthy Ezekiel Elliott, I think you can look for that offense to get back to being more explosive. And with the weapons they have on defense, and if they can duplicate what they did last year, I think this is the team that's flying under the radar.
Zeke did come out and say that he wants 10,000 yards he wants to be a Hall of Famer. He wants a Super Bowl ring. That was his goal for everything.
Yeah, can I talk about 10,000 yards, Zeke? I thought that was a little bit of a low bar. The man is already at 7,400 yards almost. So you're telling me you only want 2,600 more yards? I know he wants the Super Bowl ring in the Hall of Fame, and that's great. And if he gets to 10,000 and he gets a Super Bowl ring in a Hall, he's probably going to the Hall, because there's not many running backs that are doing that nowadays. But I would have liked that number that he said to be 13,000.
Would have been nice.
He's trying to do it for 5 more years. So, although he probably wouldn't be a Cowboy doing that, but I think he can have a bounce back year this year. And bounce back, I don't know what that means. He had 1,010 touchdowns last year, whatever it was. But I think it could be 1,300 yard season again for Zeke if he remains healthy. And Jerry Jones did come out and say they are wanting to feature Ezekiel Elliott. I know everybody got fooled last year because he was banged up and they were running a lot of Pollard. He said, Zeke is our guy. We are going to run him. And don't be surprised if it looks a lot like DeMarco Murray in 2014. When they know he's getting older and they know he's on his way out and they don't have to pay him, to wear him all the way down and then say goodbye.
Yeah, and they want to use that Tony Pollard whenever, just in spurts is what I saw about how that's what they're pushing for. I did just pull this for you. The CeeDee Lamb play that you mentioned, burning Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah. And let's be honest, that's a training camp play all the way. You see those in training camp 1,000 times. Diggs he got, had bad leverage. He got beat right there when he thought he was coming back on a comeback route or something. He stopped, he paused, he was burnt. You can get on Diggs, but I just like to mention that CeeDee Lamb has been.
And that's what I feel like is going to end up. As a lot of people are just going to be talking about Trayvon Diggs' actual coverage skills. We saw a lot of
Yeah,
interceptions last
yeah.
year, and the knock on him was his actual coverage, his man-to-man type coverage skills. But that play really should not concern you the most at all, if any. But one last thing on the Cowboys side of things. What is one of your kind of concerns, or what are you keeping your eye out on through training camp, preseason, or maybe early on in the regular season? What are you, as a Cowboys fan, looking into the most for this team?
For me, it's the offensive line. Um, for a long time, the Cowboys were lauded as having one of the best offensive lines in football. And yeah, you still got guys on the offensive line like a Tyron Smith and Zach Martin, the kind of the anchors that have been there a while. But when you're talking about Tyler Biadasz, who's been okay. They expected more from him ever since they lost Travis Frederick. He's been okay. They really want more from him. Terrence Steele on the right side has been a project for a couple of years now. Every time he fills in for Tyron Smith, he gets burned off the edge. He's on the right side now as a starter. I think that he'll have to kind of get his footing and make sure that he's making that progress that they want. But the new guy, Tyler Smith, slotted in as the starter right now. Connor McGovern is there, but he's never been really what they were looking for. I think Tyler Smith and the strides that he's taking in camp is going to be super important for how well that offense runs for the Dallas Cowboys. Because as that offensive line goes, the rest of the Dallas Cowboys go. It's been that way since 2014 and that big year from DeMarco Murray and Tony Romo and them boys. It's when that offensive line is really good, that Cowboys offense is really good. So I'm hoping that they can gel and be better than they have been over the past 2 seasons. But it's going to take some time. Tyler Smith is young. Tyler Smith has a lot to learn, but there are a lot of promising things that are coming out of camp about Tyler Smith. And remember, there was a guy in camp or in the draft, Matt Waletzko, that I had mentioned a number of times in the draft. He's also on the roster from North Dakota. I think that could be a guy that might be one of those versatile players that we fill in. Maybe he goes and replaces a Terrence Steele. Maybe Tyler Smith or Tyron Smith has to miss some games. You can kind of move him around. I think that's going to be a key piece on getting him up to speed. So he's that first guy off the bench type lineman that when we get an injury, they can throw him in there. And I think that's going to be important for him.
I remember I liked Tyler Smith coming out of the draft out of Tulsa, although I thought that it was, and even during the draft, we thought, oh, this was maybe a reach for the Dallas Cowboys. Thought maybe you could get him later on in the draft, but he's still a player that is a very physical, very aggressive and nasty type of offensive lineman. I think his biggest knock is that discipline. But I think he could very well put it all together and be another solid offensive lineman for a Dallas Cowboys offense that you just said. I mean, it runs through that offensive line. That's Cowboys camp.